Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Tonight's on the Sofa. Hope everybody's well. And we had a bit of rain today, which we haven't seen for a while, which was really nice. So tonight we've got a busy one. In a moment we'll bring Vic on, and then we've got Gary Horgan, who is the Gibboner manager, to preview Saturday. And then we have Caroline Owen, who is Boris Owen's daughter. So we'll be speaking to Caroline regarding her dad and his Swindon life. And then we've got Ray, and we might have Andy from the committee on just to talk about Saturday's game at Melksham, which was a hot one. I don't think I've ever been to a match that it was so hot. Goodness knows how the players done it. So let's bring Vic on. I just dropped my phone, so let's try again. Right, apologies for this.
Hiya.
You told me to get a stand for my phone.
A proper stand for your phone. I did tell you this. Thanks for taking my advice
and
good,
not I keep looking
getting.
Yeah. Looking at
Anyway, well done. You got us back on. Now, extraordinarily enough, we're talking about SAS travel and coaches to away games and stuff. Now, for the first one against Walsall, of course, which is the 2nd of August, there are about 20 spaces left on that second coach for Walsall, leaving West Swindon at 10:30 in the morning. The Nigel Eady County Ground at 11 a.m. Members £21, non-members £23. That's Walsall. And then for the EFL Cup match at Cardiff, plenty of spaces on the second coach. Departs West Swindon at 3:30. The Nigel Eady County Ground at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Members £20, non-members £22. Bookings can be made in club shop or by phone 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tuesdays, Thursdays and Fridays. So SAS travel news already, and it's only July. How about that?
Exactly. And Warsaw tickets will go on sale tomorrow. Match tickets, that is, they go on sale tomorrow in the club shop. Just one thing regarding Melksham on Saturday. Unfortunately, I had a gentleman that took unwell. So Barry from Roud, we send you our best wishes. We've already been in contact with his daughter to make sure he's okay, and he's getting on okay. So from all of us, we wish you a good recovery. So, but it was very hot, wasn't it? Very, very hot.
Very hot, yes.
Right, we bring Gary on. There we go.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening, both.
Okay, right, I'm going to leave you and we will see you later.
Thanks very much indeed, Chris. Gary, welcome along. It's a great pleasure to have you on. From a Vic Morgan to a Gary Horgan. I don't get a chance to say that very often, but hello. Now, let's tell us a little bit about yourself. Second spell as a player from Hungerford Town in September 2016, and now you're the full manager. Tell us a little bit about all that happening.
I retired from Hungerford in 2016, 2017, I think it was, and got a call from Mark Collier, who I'd played for previously at Supermarine, and he sort of suggested, would I go in and help out them, and I did, and I've been there since. So we had a really really successful spell that year. Managed to get ourselves promoted after winning the league almost at a canter, really. So I've been there ever since. Like I said, I finished up as a player. I think I finished playing in the National League at the age of 41, ripe old age of 41, and then since then I've been managing or coaching for since the last 3 years.
Obviously, it's a club with ambition, isn't it? I mean, what are your ambitions for this season? I think 14th last season. Where would you place yourself at the moment in the challenging for National League South?
Yeah, it's a really, really, really tough league, really competitive league. The league's moved on certainly since we managed to get ourselves promoted into it. More than half of the teams in the league now are full time. You know, we've got the likes of Torquay, Dagenham and Redbridge. Yeovil won it 2 years ago, you know, 10 years after being, you know, in the championship. So it just goes to show that the size of the teams in there. So it is a really, really difficult league. Non-league football, certainly at step 2's a really exciting place to be, and everybody's, everybody wants to be involved in it, certainly with the rise of social media as well. So it'll be really, really tough. There's a lot of consortiums that are taking over. A lot of teams are chucking money at it, as I said, to almost enhance match day experiences and stuff like that. So it'll be really, really tough for us. We've got our own sort of ambitions, and we try and do things differently, because I think it's really difficult for a club of our size to really go and compete with budgets and maybe fan bases. And our aim is to try and obviously, increase that and improve that year on year as a club. But we just look for improvement and development year on year, really. So yeah, we'd like to break into the top 10. I think the first part to cracking it was becoming an established side, and we've been there now since, as I said, 2017. So we've never finished lower than 14th so far. And I think I said it before, well, in one of my interviews, death, taxes and Chippenham finishing 14th at the moment in that league. So we had 1 year where we managed to eke our way into the playoffs. But if we can move into the top 10 this year, that I think that would be success. We want to move into those playoff places.
Yeah, you mentioned Dagenham and Redbridge, of course. They've just signed an ex-England striker, haven't they, in Andy Carroll? So that will show you the level of ambition they've got. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, look, he was rumoured to be joining Chelmsford, who have this year themselves. They're a club that have moved full time as well. They've secured a 7-figure investment from their chairman. And Dagenham this week have announced Andy Carroll as signing, and he's signed. And I think he's maybe not dual rolled, but I think he's joining part of the board and maybe something else as well as part owner. So yeah, it's a really tough league. There's some really, really good players every year. People move up from our league into league football and beyond. So it's a really, really tough and exciting league.
We mentioned the heat earlier, but I was at the Melksham Swindon game on Saturday. I mean, it's bad enough watching, to be honest. How's it been trying to train your players? We had the Supermarine manager on a couple of weeks ago, and he said, well, I'll just work them harder. But I mean, I don't know whether it was tongue-in-cheek or not, but how difficult is it? I mean, 30-odd degrees are unusual temperatures, although they're getting more usual, perhaps. How have you dealt with it?
Yeah, well, again, we train in the evenings. We've adopted a hybrid model. So we're sort of Monday mornings, Tuesday evening, Thursday evening, and Friday morning. So it's the evening sessions are obviously easier because by that time the midday heat's gone. So that's okay. Our biggest challenge has been at our training ground. We've got a gym, and that's in a marquee. So the marquee, as you can imagine, gets extremely hot in the summer and extremely cold in the winter. So getting that balance right is difficult. But yeah, I think for us, I keep telling our players that not so much working them harder, but I keep telling our players that locally, Bristol Rovers and Bristol City have just taken their first team squads to warm weather camps in Spain, and it's 32 degrees there. So, professional clubs are trying to escape to get to the heat. So we're able to do that and provide that at no cost at all to the football club. So that we have to adapt to it, and like I said, the season may even start in those types of temperature anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, Rovers, you mentioned, of course, you played them in a pre-season friendly, a 2-1 defeat, but you've got a new signing who's, as you said earlier, hit the ground running. He's got 2 goals in 2 games, so you must be pleased with that. Yeah,
we're really pleased. Ezio Torre, we signed him from Weymouth. We tried to get him a couple of years ago. He was playing at Basingstoke, and he'd played against our academy sides a couple of times, and he'd been identified as somebody that we'd like to work with. We'd like to work with younger players that we think have a ceiling, and sort of the conversations when we eventually took over were around us trying to develop those players, really, those younger ones, and maybe even use them as a model to assist in like I say, making them assets to the football club, whilst also getting success in moving those players on. So we weren't successful at that point. Ezio moved to Watford, and now we've managed to, as I said, we've always kept in touch. And this year we may be able to make that happen. And yeah, he's hit the ground running. Like I said, he's got 2 and 2. We've been really pleased with him. And like I say, yeah, hopefully that will, long may that continue.
And you've got a player, of course, Swindon fans will be well familiar with, Harry Parsons. I think you want to see them form quite a partnership, don't you?
Yeah, and they both had a spell at Weymouth, so I know they both played together at Weymouth, and again that we're trying to nurture that again, that relationship between the two of them, and yeah, so that they can play off well each other. I know that Ez has mentioned before that he likes playing with Harry and vice versa, really. So Harry finished our top scorer last year, so again, if he can match that and hopefully better that and improve that, because that's the aim. Yeah, look, we'll have a successful season, and both of those will as well.
Saturday must have been disappointing in one way. You lost to a last minute or last late goal, didn't you? But I think you were pleased with many of the aspects of the game, weren't you?
Yeah, for sure. We got beat 3-2 by Yeovil. We conceded sort of 2 goals in the last 7 minutes from corners. We'd made a number of changes at that point, and yeah, it probably disjointed us a little bit. As I said, not so much whether. We certainly don't want to get in the habit of conceding goals, certainly not from set pieces, but aspects of the game, in terms of us, it's about building and, like I say, relationships, understandings, and just trying to eke out some of the things that we've been working on, some of the ideas that we've given the players at the moment. So we give them the ideas and hopefully we work on them, and through repetition, they become habit. And the fact that we're able to probably demonstrate 3 or 4 of those key moments that we've been working on is fine for me, because the rest of it, without sounding too cliched, is about getting minutes into the legs and everything else. So we're really pleased. We've seen some of, as I said, those ideas and those ideas working, and we'll look to make more of those moments as we get through pre-season and get to that first game.
Yeah, Dorking it is, isn't it? Your first match at home. Is that a good thing to be at home first game, or does it not matter? How do you view that?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. For me, it is. Like you say, you want to play in front of your home fans and your home crowd and your supporters as soon as possible. Really, we want to give them something to shout about, and hopefully that if we can create some momentum in a what will be a tough game. Dorking were probably one of those that. Most people know their manager Mark. He's not shy in coming forward, but he's a really good guy, and he's done an unbelievable job there. So yeah, look, we always welcome him, and we like welcoming them. We normally get a few more through the gate as well, because they bring some additional fans and supporters of their Fly on the Wall documentary channel as well, the bunch of amateurs. So that helps. Every club our level as well. But yeah, it'll be a really tough game, but one that we'll certainly look forward to.
You got some games to come before that. You've got Taunton away, Frome away, Hereford at home on the 2nd of August against Paul Caddis's team. And then there's a Chippenham against Man United Liverpool Legends game on the 27th of July. Are you playing in that?
I believe so. Yes, playing might be too loose a term, given that I haven't done too much in the last few years. But yeah, no. So we did one a couple of years ago against the full Man United Legends team, and that was a real success. So this year we've managed to invite them back as a joint sort of venture between the two of them. So yeah, it'll hopefully be a really good day, and like I said, we'll be able to get a nice crowd in there as well, because as I said, they're a really good day and a good occasion for all.
We had a former Swindon manager in one of the dugouts on Saturday. You've got the present one this Saturday. Have you crossed swords in any way with Ian Holloway before? Have you come across him?
No, not at all. Obviously, really well-known character. As I said, he is exactly that, a character. He's done a fantastic job since he's come back. But no, certainly not in a professional capacity at all. No, not managed that yet. But we'll welcome him and his staff and the team on Saturday, and yeah, we look forward to it.
What do you want out of the game? What's your priority, as it were?
For us, again, more of the same, really. We want to continue to build on those habits and see some of those principles that we've asked from the players, and we want to see that that and continue to build. Clearly, performances are for us, they're our most important thing, but it'd be nice to back that up with a bit of a result. Again, that we'll probably have to approach it slightly differently when we play professional full-time league outfits, but again, it's not something that's not uncommon to us in terms of, you know, maybe being at a disadvantage and not being completely full time at the moment, because most of our league is you know, over half our league is full time now as well. So we see the, you know, the athletic and maybe the physical differences most weeks.
Cup success, of course, in recent times as well has been another factor in the club's progress. What are you expecting out of the cup competitions? FA Cup, obviously, big first round ties, things like that are lovely. What are you hoping for?
Well, yeah, look, again, for us, you know, the absolute utopia would be well, to go and win it, but the realistic aim or the hopeful aim would be to maybe sneak into the third round. But I think the real realistic one is to try and get into the first round proper. We've managed to do that in 2019 when Mark was manager, when we played Northampton, and then again 3 years ago we managed to get to the second round proper. Obviously we beat a league team in Lincoln who were going really well, another who were managed at the time by Mark Kennedy, another former Swindon Town manager. So yeah, we managed to win that in 2022. So hopefully that works in 3-year cycles. So this year, hopefully we can get into the, you know, the first round proper this year. But for us, yeah, that's a non-league players, you know, dream every year is to maybe, you know, pull a big team and you know, if you get it right, it can set a club up for a number of years.
Local derby against Swindon would do rather nicely, wouldn't it? That'd be okay, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Yeah, excellent. Gary, we're going to let you go because I know you're pretty busy at the minute doing this, that and the other, and you've got a lot of planning to do. But thank you very much, Steve, for joining us. We wish you well for the season, of course, and we'll be catching up with you throughout the course of the next season, if that's okay with you.
Of course, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Thanks very much, Gary Horgan, the manager of Chippenham Town. Cheers. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Excellent. So, should we bring Caroline on?
Yes. Just wait for Caroline to arrive. There she is. Hello.
Hello.
And I'll leave you to it.
Thanks, Chris, very much indeed. I'm absolutely delighted that you're with us tonight, Caroline, because I've got some messages. We posted about your dad. I told you, didn't I? It was his birthday, of course, as you know, a little while ago. And we posted about your dad and got some wonderful comments, which I'll get to in a minute. But your dad was a very modest man. Tell us a little bit about his personality.
Yes, he was quite shy, but with a really good sense of humour. He was a wonderful father and enjoyed family life and playing with my sister and I, and also playing football on the village green with when we lived in Sutton Courtenay for a while. He was just didn't want the limelight, even though I was aware, even as a young child, how popular he was. My sister and I didn't really get to see him play football, but if we went to collect him from a match, there would be swarms of children with their autograph books trying to get his autograph, and it was just a strange thing. And in our local town of Abingdon, he was also very well known because he was born in Abingdon. He had 5 brothers and a sister. And I think his childhood was spent playing football in Albert Park, and the whole family actually were quite a sporty family. So it all started very young. And as I'm sure you know, he started then playing for Abingdon Town and was spotted and was one of the founder members of Abingdon United as well. He helped to set it up, and then was spotted and spent the rest of his football life at Swindon, which he loved dearly.
Yeah, incredible. We got lots of messages, as I said, but he worked at the MG factory in Abingdon, didn't he, for a while after returning from World War II, which I guess, you know, in those days, footballers kind of did. They were grounded. They were in with the local community a bit more than they are now. Is that fair to say?
Oh, definitely. In fact, the whole of the Owen family, all his brothers and his sister, all worked at MG's, which was very much part of Abingdon life. And later, when he did become a professional player, he actually played for the cricket team at MG. So throughout the summer months, to stay fit, he played cricket for the MG club along with his brothers. And that was one way of him maintaining his fitness. So I think we got to know most of the pubs locally, because in those days the pubs had village teams. So we used to spend our Sundays going to watch him play cricket, with my mother sitting there knitting, watching him, and then she'd help to make the cricket teas. But yeah, he was a true sportsman. He was a good cricketer. He also was a terrific swimmer. He taught my sister and I to swim in the Thames before there was a swimming pool in Abingdon, and he played golf too. So yeah, he loved sport, but obviously his passion was football.
Well, let me read you some of these comments. This is when, on the day that we put out about his birthday. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know a few days later was also the anniversary of his passing, which kind of a mixed couple of days for you, and I get that, obviously. This is from Trevor. Hi, Trevor. Morris is the reason I'm a Town fan. Living near Abingdon, so all my mates are that team beginning with O, which I know you have family connections with. We'll leave that to one side. We'll move on. My dad and his brother cycled from Drayton to Steventon, got the train to Swindon to see Abingdon lad Morris play for Swindon. Thank goodness, I say, I was 13 and went to the 69 final and enjoyed 70s and 80s, beating our rivals. My dad did the same, says Lee. You aren't alone. Same story for me, same location. And Lee says he was a regular visitor to Dad's mate in Markham when we were young. He's an Abingdon boy, I think. Saw him play many times in the 50s, says Stan. Such a lovely man, says Hayden, as well as a great footballer and servant to Swindon Town. Now, that's the start of them. We've got more, which I'll put in a little later. But he joined Swindon in 1946, and he scored 16 times in his 17 matches in his debut season, including a hat-trick on his debut against Watford. And he also scored 4 goals against Mansfield. This is quite a start to a career, isn't it?
Pretty good, yes.
And what did he say? I mean, did he ever tell you about these games? Did he ever talk about them?
Well, I guess my sister and I were quite young when he was playing, but in fact, I was talking to her this morning about our memories of him when he was playing. But his brother Ralph used to come every Sunday morning to relive just about every kick of the ball, I think. So there was a big conflab in our kitchen with my mother and Uncle Ralph talking about the match, and sometimes his other brother Stan would come because they were very much a local family, and so they all supported him. And the boys at school were very interested in Swindon and used to ask me about it. And sometimes on a Friday, we would go to the local chippy for fish and chips, and Mr. Reeves would also chat to Murray about the match. And so, yeah, it was very much a topic of conversation. But of course, in those days, girls didn't play football, so it was very much a male sport.
Yeah, banned until the 70s, which is just ridiculous, bearing in mind we've got the Women's Euros on at the minute, and great crowds. Extraordinary, isn't it? This is from Terry. The A side I played in 65 were one player short for a game at Frome Town. We were waiting for the bus, and Morris was the club senior looking after his youngsters. Ran into the changing room, got his boots. Off we go to Frome. Morris turned out centre half. We got beat 1-0. Oh, dear. Eileen says, my father's hero. Lived next door to his brother Stan, who played for Headington United, says Richard, who later became, as we know. Ian Harmon, hi Ian, came to watch me play as a scout for Swindon. They were looking for a goalie. Unfortunately, that day, I was playing outfield. Such is fame and fortune. The thing is about Morris, he was very loyal to Swindon, wasn't he? He played from 1946 to 1963. And I think he's second only to John Trollope in terms of appearances. That sort of loyalty you don't get anymore, do you?
No, you don't. I mean, Swindon was his second home. I think his car, which was a little red Mini, could have driven itself to the ground. He'd done that journey so many times. It was definitely his second home. And also, one thing he did share with us, he was so fond of the other players. His closest friend whilst he was playing was Sam Burton, who was the goalie, who was also rather a comedian. And there were all sorts of stories about them at Swindon and away matches and abroad. And then latterly, when he was training and a scout, he was always keen to be with the young players, and he just loved all the camaraderie. And as they say, Swindon was definitely his second home. He was incredibly loyal to the club. He just loved it.
Yeah, I was looking. I mean, he attracted interest. Norwich City wanted to sign him. Bristol City wanted to sign him. Portsmouth were interested. Wolves were interested. Now, Portsmouth and Wolves at the time, pretty big. I mean, these are big clubs. He declined to go.
Yeah, I mean, again, he was a true sportsman. It was nothing to do with earnings. He literally just loved the game. And I think also because his family were local, and as were my mother's family, that he felt very much at home in Abingdon, and I don't think he wanted to leave and leave the club. He was just very loyal.
More messages. This is from Georgia. Hi, Georgia. Heard so much about Morris and my late husband. Also, some very funny stories. Morris would often give him a lift to the football ground and back again. I wonder if you get a player doing that now. Desmond. Hi, Desmond. Morris, a legend of Swindon who helped bring the youngsters through, e.g., for example, Don Rogers, Mike Summerby, John Trollope, Roger Smart, and others. Paul says, great player and loyal. It must be nice to have those messages about your dad.
Oh, just wonderful. And of course, when I was little, I didn't fully appreciate just how good he was and how well known he was. And I have to say, I'm really thrilled that you are still remembering him after all these years, because he would have been 101 now if he'd been alive. And, you know, it's a very long time ago. So I think it's amazing that you and other supporters are keeping his memory alive. It's emotional. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Well, it's our absolute pleasure. I mean, I said to you before, I think, haven't I, that, you know, he's a player that people ought to talk more about, because loyalty like that, as we said, doesn't happen very often in football. And not only was he a player, I mean, he was part of Swindon's first promotion side in 62-63, wasn't he? And
yes,
but not only was he a player, he worked in the offices, he was groundsman, he was a scout, he was a trainer for the reserve team.
Yeah,
he did everything.
He certainly did. I mean, one of the funny stories, I remember when he was groundsman after a match, he would walk along the seats, and in those days the pounds were paper money, and he'd be looking for pound notes under the seats. And our lawns had never looked so good, and I can't understand why that should be when he was a groundsman, but they were suddenly very green.
And this was at a time when actually football grounds weren't easy to look after, were they?
No.
They're not like they are now, pristine.
No.
Billiard tables. By January they were kind of mud heaps, weren't they?
Oh yes, and all the mowing and fertilizing and watering and so on. It was hard work, but as I say, it still gave him that contact with the players, which was, you know, what motivated him to stay. I think my mother wanted him to open a sports shop in Abingdon, because again, in those days there was no sports shop, and it would have been brilliant because everybody knew him. His name was very well known, and you can imagine it attracting a lot of people to buy all their sports gear, particularly football gear. But he just didn't want to do that. And I think he was much happier being part of the game, or watching the game, or being amongst the players, which, you know, was his life. Yeah.
Amazing. Morris was the reason I got into football, says Barry. It's Barry Davis. I don't think it's that Barry Davis football commentator, but it's Barry Davis. Anyway, Morris was the reason I got into football, always at the George and Dragon in Sutton Courtenay. I lived opposite at 29 Church Street. He married the daughter from the pub. Is that right? Yes,
he did. Yes. Marjorie Griffiths. Yes, and we lived in the cottage next door to the pub. Yes. And that's what I say, where he used to play football with the little boys from the village in the village green. So yes, I've got very fond memories of Sutton Courtenay and him being there.
How fabulous! Your mum and dad were married a long time, weren't they?
Yes, they were. Yes, they just missed their 50th wedding anniversary, which was very sad. So mum was so loyal to him because, of course, as a footballer's wife, life had to revolve around the football season. So, as I said, in the summer playing cricket matches, she was always there helping out and making cricket teas. And then, holidays had to fit around the football season, and he would be away every Saturday. So, it's as it is today. It's a certain lifestyle, but she supported him always through that.
I suppose also, of course, unlike the top stars these days who earn incredibly ridiculous money. I mean, I don't mean ridiculous because if somebody wants to give you that amount of money, you're not going to turn it down, are you? You're going to say thanks very much. Oh, yeah, no. But what I mean is, in those days, of course, there was the maximum wage, so it wasn't the lucrative trade that it can be now.
Oh no, not at all. Absolutely not. I mean, it was playing for the love of the game, certainly not the money. I mean, as I say, he didn't drive a Ferrari; it was a little red Mini. So yeah, it wasn't lucrative. I think somewhere amongst his possessions, I've got some of his early pay slips. I must have a look at them. I remember at the time thinking how shocked. I know it was a long time ago, but regardless of that, it was. It was not a lot of money.
That would be fascinating. I mean, obviously personal finance is personal finance, but it would be really interesting to see just how much these players were on in those days for doing. Yes. Clearly, they did it because they loved doing it. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Yes, they did. Yeah, he did, certainly. And as I say, it was a footballing family, a sporty family. And they all encouraged him and liked talking about the matches with him.
England recognition. Now, you were speaking to me when we first spoke about there was England recognition. Can you tell us about that?
He played for the England under-21s in France. I don't know anything other than that because I found a programme which my husband has kindly framed for me, and his England badge. So we've got that. Sadly, the shirt has disintegrated, but the badge survived. So that's been preserved, which I'm very, very proud of course.
Well, I'm delighted to say that I've spoken to the club about this and the museum, of course, as well. And we're very interested in putting on an exhibition of Maurice Owen's.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Life, etc. And I think it's something that the club and the museum certainly would be very interested in doing. So obviously we don't want you to give away all the stuff, but at some point, if you'd like to donate just for a short time or whatever, so we can put on an exhibition.
I think it would be wonderful for other people to see and enjoy because, some of the things I've got on display, but so many things I haven't, and they've been sitting in a box since he passed away. And it would be, I think, a much better use of those things for other people to be able to enjoy them and to remember him.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll keep in touch, obviously, and we will be inviting you to a game. So,
that would be brilliant.
I don't know if your husband. Well, your husband may not want to come along, obviously.
Yes. Well, I know you can't mention a certain football team, which we've got a divided household. Put it that way.
Yes. Okay. Well, we might get him in and convert. No, we won't convert. Well, it doesn't happen, does it? But no, we'll certainly look at that, and I know the club are very keen to do that. So
that would be fantastic. And my sister would love to come as well.
Yes, I'm sure we can sort that out. So thank you for being in touch. I mean, there is a sad side of this, of course. He passed away on the 8th of July 2000, which I know is obviously a very difficult time for you. And to something which is afflicting many people these days, I think, isn't it?
Yes. He did have a dementia, which I think, like a lot of other older footballers, I wonder whether was caused by the heading of a very, very heavy, wet leather football, because it wasn't Alzheimer's. It was a different dementia, and which he had for about 15 years. So that was an awful thing to watch. This caring, funny, man who you know, gradually faded away. It was terribly sad. Although I have to say, his smile remained right to the end, even though he couldn't communicate verbally. He loved music. I mean, that was again one of my early memories. Him tapping his foot and singing along to Beatles songs and all the early 60s music. He loved music, and to the end, it was music helped him to be able to respond, and so yes, from such a great person, it was hard to watch that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we've spoken to John Stiles on here, the son of Nobby, who I think had the same condition as well. And John is a great campaigner to try to get heading kind of reduced, not necessarily banned, but reduced in training.
Yes.
John says, don't remember him with hair, because we put a picture of him with hair. And,
I know, and I'm afraid I don't remember him with hair either. Although it's lovely looking at the photographs you're posting, because I think he was an incredibly handsome man. I'm slightly biased, of course, but
yeah. How proud of him are you?
Oh, incredibly, and I think as a teenager, I was able to express it, and I knew about matches. But he was very protective of my sister and I think he used to worry that there may be certain unpleasant words occasionally uttered at football matches, and he didn't want us being party to that. But so yeah. But listening to other people talking to him, and certainly, you know, the boys at school all desperate to chat about him, and they all wanted to have trials at Swindon, and but he always said, "Oh, you know, tell them they need to get a good education first." You know, it's a hard career, isn't it? You know, and you've got to be something a bit special to be professional, and unfortunately, it's not a very long career either.
Well, he had an incredible.
Well, he did. He was quite lucky, despite breaking his leg. I do.
Yes, he did. I was going to say he broke his leg in one game, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, and he went back after that. I don't know how on earth that was possible, because I believe he was 34 when he broke his leg, and he did go back after that. But yeah, that was quite something.
Yeah, I mean, that was in a match against Halifax, I think, if I remember rightly.
Oh, was it? Well done.
But, you know, to recover from a break, I mean, it's, you know, the treatment's so much different these days. Still a bad thing, of course, if you get a broken leg. Yeah. But in those days, I'm not sure what treatment they would have got and how difficult it would have been to get back, but he did.
No, he did. I just remember this really heavy, full-length plaster and Mum pushing him around in a wheelchair. Yes, I do remember that, but yeah. Nasty.
Well, he played 601 games for the town, scoring 165 goals, which is an extraordinary career. And later on in his career, of course, he moved from centre forward to centre half, didn't he?
Yes.
And not many players do that. Andy Rowland is another one who did that to great effect. But he obviously had the ability to read games in front of him as well. That's why he moved back, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah, I do remember Mummy telling me that he used to get very, very anxious before matches, and sometimes he'd be nauseous because you know, the adrenaline pumping, I guess, and it meant a lot to him. He wanted to perform well.
Yeah, sure. He sort of retired in 1984. How was he about that?
I think it was. I mean, he didn't mention being sad, but it must have been hard to leave. To leave the club, to leave that camaraderie and the excitement of matches and the crowd, and it must have been hard. But he was a good father. He also loved being at home. He you know, spent time with my sister and myself. We had a dog. He loved walking the dog, yeah, I mean, he, as I say, he enjoyed quite a simple home life. He was content with that, and having his brothers all close by, he used to see quite a lot of them. So I think he coped, but I don't know. Inside, I'm not sure. He didn't ever complain about it. Yeah, it was a very different era. He was given a bicycle when he left, and I can't remember whether it was £50 or £100. So that will show you the difference between players then and players today. Very, very different.
Yeah, my regret is that I started reporting on Swindon in the 84-85 season just as he retired, I think. So I missed it. I missed out on meeting him, which would have been a great pleasure, and I'm very sorry about that. But anything we can do, Caroline, to sort of remember him in a special way, we will do our level best. So
thank you so much. That
very much indeed for joining us this evening.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Been a pleasure. Thank you very much for raising his profile again, and I really look forward to putting on my red scarf and shouting, "Come on, you Robins!"
Excellent. Well, let us know when you're available and able to come, and we'll sort some tickets out for you. So that'd be brilliant.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Okay, bye.
Right. We'll let you go now. Thank you very much, Caroline. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris is on mute, so we can't hear what you're saying, Chris. And you're on mute again. So there we are. We might have to chat for a bit longer, Caroline. You never know.
Oh, okay. Technology, hey?
Yeah, technology. There you go.
I hate technology. As you probably know, anybody who watches this know I'm useless with it. A message from Peter. I remember Morris as a groundsman. While knowing little about his history, thanks for a great interview. So,
that's very kind.
Thank you. So thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you at the campground.
Oh, definitely. I'll be there.
Yeah, the one stipulation is you have to join me on the pitch for an interview, but if that's okay.
Okay, yeah, I think I can manage it.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much. Brilliant.
Okay.
Thank you, Caroline. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, Vic. So we will get Andy and Ray on now.
Okay.
And just one thing before we go that I forgot to mention at the start. Malcolm Day, our Rockin' Robin, is again competing in the mascot challenge in August. So he's got a Just Giving page, and the proceeds are going to Prospect. So if you would like to sponsor, donate to Malcolm's challenge, where he'll be dressed as Rockin' Robin against all the other mascots, just go on Just Giving, and it's mascot race, Epsom Downs Racecourse. And I will put it on the bottom of the screen for the rest of the show, so we can have that on there. There we go. So I'm going to bring Andy and Ray on now. So you got Ray.
Hello, Ray. Hi, Ray.
And you got Andy.
Hello, Andy.
Hello.
Right. Thank you very much. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you very much indeed for waiting around. But it's fantastic to hear from Gary Horgan and also from Caroline, the daughter of the great Morris Owen. And the more we can do to bring his memory to the fore, because he's one of the great figures of Swindon Town, the better, really. Right, have you both recovered from Saturday, which I have to say was probably one of the most vicious days I can ever remember watching Swindon Town. How were you, Ray? I mean, you were sitting behind me. You didn't quite melt, did you? Oh, you've gone quiet. Are you there? Oh, you've gone very quiet. How about you, Andy? Can you speak?
I think so.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Good.
How about you? Have you recovered?
I think so. Yeah, I think I went through 4 bottles of water on Saturday afternoon. It's just unbearable, wasn't it? It was just sun bearing right down on us. So yeah, never been watched. I don't think I've ever watched a football match in that sort of heat.
How are you? Are you there with us, Ray?
Yeah, sorry, I was muted there. Yeah, no, I can't remember heat like that. I think I've come off of most of the games of football I've ever played not feeling that hot, but just sat there, it was absolutely baking. So you've got to say fair play to both the teams for that game on Saturday, because that was extreme.
Well, let's get through the bare facts. It finished Melksham Town 0, Swindon Town 4. Swindon's second 4-0 victory in a row. Tom Nichols got the opener. Jake Tabor, 2 goals from him, and we're going to talk about him in a minute. And Will Wright scored at the end. 2 games, 8 goals, 2 clean sheets. Hot is what I've written down here. So let's talk about Jake Tabor. Oh, actually, and thanks to George, who sort of sent me an email saying the only time that we know the name Tabor before, those of you who are into folk music will probably know the name June Tabor, one of the great folk singers of this country. Don't know if she's any relation, but it's an unusual surname, so maybe we'll find out at some point. What did you think, Ray?
Yeah, he was good again. I thought there's definitely a real goal scorer there. If you look at how busy he is on the pitch, but how he moves around the box, and he's got 2 goals again, and he's also almost had another one. So similar to Supermarine, it wasn't just the goal. He was involved in 3 or 4 other attempts there. He's got a lot about him. He's quick. He's persistent. One thing I really liked on Saturday is he wasn't intimidated either. And I'm sure he's faced plenty of tough challenges in his time anyway. But he wasn't intimidated whatsoever on Saturday, and he could have been. So that was kind of like another string to his bow that I saw on Saturday. And of course, as this week against Reading and then Chippenham, the level goes up a little bit. So it'd be interesting to see how he does. But his kind of nous around the box, I don't see that not being there at a slightly higher level. So it'd be really interesting.
His second goal, Andy, came from a cross on the right-hand side. It was a cracking cross, and he got there before Harry Smith, which I don't know whether you want to do that or not. But anyway, he got in there and he got the header in, and his first, I think you could say, classic poacher's goal, wasn't it? It was just a bit of a melee, and he turned it in. So he's got the instincts.
Oh, he certainly has. Yeah, he sort of was looking for it, wouldn't he? Sort of straight in there in front of Harry Smith. But yeah, he's there in the box. He's finding space. He looks a dream at the moment. Okay, the 2 teams that we've played at the moment are probably a level above what he was playing at last season. So we're going a couple of levels higher next Saturday against Chippenham. So let's hope he can keep it up. But the instinct is there, isn't it? It's spot on.
What do you think, Ray, about the fact that people are we're making a bit of him tonight, but there's a lot to live up to already. And I've seen great, people saying he's got expectations, he's going to get 20 goals this season, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody who's new to the pro game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really unfair to put a number on it. But I think I said last time, he's putting more pressure on himself than we are anyway. But it is a bit unfair, and he isn't tried. And of course, his chances of him not scoring next week are quite high. But hardly anybody scores every week. So we shouldn't also start to get worried if he hasn't notched against Chippenham. Yeah. So, but no, it is a worry. I did hear Ian Holloway talk about his internet on his interview after the game on Saturday. Apparently, he's got problems in the flat he's staying in with no internet. Maybe it's a good idea to keep him off that. That'll help with protecting him.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, Andy? I mean, he's already been compared to Charlie Austin, and players like that. I mean, that's a big bill to live up to, really.
Yeah, it is. He's not had the same background. I think was Charlie involved, in a pro club very early on in his career, wasn't he? Reading, yeah. So, it's not quite the same. Whereas he's come from Amersham, he's only ever played at that sort of level. He's never been involved in the pro game at all, not even at youth level. So, he's very raw. But everything that you see at the moment, it looks good. He's got that instinct, and that's half the battle. Whether he can do it weekend or week out at League Two, who knows? Time will tell. But I think we just need to make sure that we're not just putting too much pressure on him.
Yeah, I've already seen labelled as the next Jamie Vardy, which
that's getting a bit silly,
a little bit. Yeah, it is a bit. This is from Gary. Hi, Gary. I remember years ago when my dad played for the town, one of the players came round to our house and he had cuts in his eyebrows. We asked Dad what caused it, and he said, when you headed a wet leather ball, the lace nicked your eyebrows. That's going back to the days of Morris Owen, of course. And he says, my dad was second fiddle to Morris. Such a lovely man. Amazing. Hi, Kevin. Did anyone think the last 20 minutes or so was getting a bit naughty? some bad tackles going in. It did get a bit feisty towards the end, didn't it, Ray?
Yeah, funny enough, feisty was the word I used on Saturday, and I happened to listen to the Low Strangers podcast this morning, and they used the same word as well. It really was that, yeah, niggly. I felt it was, which was quite pleased with how the team kind of dealt with it generally. People didn't rise to it. They got on with the game. I think Harry Smith probably enjoyed it, but then that's a normal game for him, really, isn't it, in terms of the battering he gets. But it wasn't played in the Supermarine spirit, put it that way.
Yeah, I suppose in a way, though, Andy, you'd kind of want a game like that or two before you start your league campaign, because it's going to be tough in League Two. We know that. I mean, it's not a picnic, is it? You know, there are some very experienced longhorn defenders out there who won't take any prisoners.
No, there are, and that's the sort of game that you want. You know, you want to get under your belt, don't you? They were a lot more physical, I think, than Supermarine were the week before, especially towards the end. You know, there was some tackles going in, and it was getting a little bit tasty towards the end. But, you know, you're going to come across that, aren't you? So, all good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just checking to see if Swindon have signed anybody today, because there was rumours, of course, that they would be signing a left back. But there's nothing on their feed at the moment. So I assume they'll put it out as soon as we finish, which is normally how it happens.
Probably.
But what about Chippenham on Saturday then, Ray? I mean, obviously, as we spoke to Gary Horgan earlier, National League South team finished 14th last season, hoping to do better this time round. They're a decent club, a decent setup, aren't they?
Yeah, and you know, probably do need that step up. Although we'll get that in the week, won't we, at Reading as well? I think they're talking about playing sort of 4 30-minute sessions at Reading, so they'll get a good workout in that one. But yeah, I think it needs to step on. So I'm quite pleased it goes on to that level, and obviously then Eastleigh follows on as well, when that really will be getting close to our level on the last pre-season friendly as well.
Yeah, I remember Eastleigh last year. It was a bit of a disaster, to be honest, because they scored after about 30 seconds. Yeah. And I think it's fair to say, to use modern parlance, we were pants. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And yes, the rest is history, as they say. What are you expecting, Andy, from the remaining games in pre-season? And the point is, as Gary Horgan was saying, minutes in legs, all that kind of stuff. But you want to get your shape. You want to be close to your first team by the time you arrive on the 2nd of August, don't you?
Yeah, and to say we're doing the right things, as Ray said. You know, we got the game against Reading in the week where it's 4:30 minutes. So it'll probably give everyone a little bit of chance to get some more game time. And then Chippenham on Saturday, which, if I remember right, is a bit of a slope, isn't there, at Hard Newish? Which, you know, we shall see. But yeah, it's getting to that next level up. You know, they're National League South, so you know that's two rungs below us. It's hard to think that Chippenham play just 2 rungs below us now, but that's the way it goes. So yeah, and then on to Eastleigh, which you know, I think we built it up just right for the end of the season, or for the start of the season. Sorry,
I'm just trying. Have we ever won at Eastleigh? We drew there in the FA Cup, didn't we? And
we did, yeah. I don't think we have.
No, I think we might have drawn.
No, they only lost 2-1 to Southampton the other day as well.
Pretty decent then. Jamie White, of course, he was at Swindon recently as one of the operations managers. He's there now, I think, of head of football. So it'd be nice to see him again. Right, so there we are. We are just 3 or 4 weeks away from the start of the football season, which seems unbelievable. Did anybody watch the World Club Cup final last night, or the Euro match between the Lionesses and Wales? Ray?
I watched the ladies' match.
Yeah. What were your thoughts? 6-1. It was a bit easy, to be honest, wasn't it?
Yeah. Particularly in the first half, it was, wasn't it? And we look all right going forward, and we can create. Certainly, if we've got all the sort of first choice players on, we can create. That's for sure. I think we look a little bit vulnerable pace wise when it breaks down. I think you know, we looking at some of the sides. That's where we've got to make sure we don't give the ball away, because that's the risk to it from what I've seen so far, anyway.
What about you, Andy? Did you watch anything?
I didn't. I'm afraid I was out last night, so I saw about the last 5 minutes of the Chelsea game, and that was about it when I got in. Yeah, so can't really comment on those two.
It's probably one of the most extraordinary trophies I think anybody could ever get. I mean, it was just
very interesting. I like, Donald Trump wasn't too keen on getting out the picture either, was he? He just stood there.
Yeah, almost a John Terry with a full kit on, wouldn't he? It was just very close to that. Yes. Oh, hang on. Let's have a look. I'm just having some. No, sorry. It's a bit of tennis news. Fabio Fognini has announced his retirement after he lost to Carlos Alcaraz. Let's just come in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. So there we are. England plays Sweden, I think, in the next round, the quarterfinals. Is that right? So they'll be looking to get through to the semi-final after that one. So lots of news to come in over the next few weeks. Swindon have been linked with an Aston Villa left back. But I think Ian Holloway said he was looking for an experienced left back. Ray, what do you? I thought Billy Kirkman looked good on Saturday. I thought he looked industrious. Kilkenny looked good. Some decent performances.
Yeah, there were in there, and Ball looks really good at the back, and I think he looks like he would slot in the middle, which he's played before. He looks like he could slot into that defensive midfield position if needed in there as well. So yeah, I like Kirkman, but probably that. Getting away with a season without an injury is probably a bit of a tall order, isn't it? So we do need competition out there. Looks
what about you? What about you, Andy?
Yeah, I think there was a few fringe players who looked quite good and looked quite sharp on Saturday. Is it Dylan Mitchell? He played quite well, and I think one to watch for this season perhaps is Owen Foy.
I was just going to say that very same thing. He put in wonderful crosses, didn't he? To look really good down that left-hand side. Yeah, really interesting to see him go on, and he's very much a local boy, which is fantastic to see.
Yes, indeed. Hopefully it could be a breakthrough season for him.
Yes. What a lovely setup at Melksham. Impressed with the stand and the pitch. I think that's the thing, Ray, with Melksham, isn't it? It's a tremendous setup. Anybody who remembers the old Conager ground in the middle of the town,
I do.
It was lovely and ramshackle, but it wasn't quite the same as that. I mean, it's a fantastic setup, isn't it?
It was really, really nice as well run. Got a strange experience having a wedding going on whilst the game was going on as well. That was a bit unique, but no, it's a very good setup, and the pitch was like in complete contrast to what was going on around it. There's a load of sports pitches there. They were completely yellow, and then you had a nice green pitch to play on. So that was really good. I just on the youngster picking up from the Owen Foy bit. The other youngster's probably worth a mention from Saturday is Lucas Myers.
Yeah,
so played in goal second half for them for Melksham, and I thought he looked decent. He had one really good save, I think, from Glatzel's shot, but he didn't look out of place at all. So hopefully he's going to get a fair bit of game time there.
Yeah. What about Melksham, Andy? I mean, a lot of the non-league clubs around Wiltshire and indeed where I am, they really are making an effort with their facilities.
They are, it's great facilities there, isn't it? They've even got a lift, which is more than what we have. So
yes, they have. You'll remember from taking all those programs there that night.
I do indeed. But it's a great setup. I was saying to Ray during the match, there is there's room to be able to develop the ground as well if they wanted to go to the next level and beyond. So hopefully they've got a good future.
Yeah, and as always, like any of the non-league clubs, a lot of loyal volunteers work behind the scenes to make them tick. And as you said, that wedding, I wonder how many of the guests were actually kind of taking a sneaky look at the football whilst they should have the reception. It'd be interesting to know.
I did notice one or two.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. Are you going Chippenham on Saturday?
Yes.
50-50. I'm not decided yet, but okay. I might well do. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, if you are, we'll see you there, and we hope you are all going to Chippenham on Saturday when you get a chance. And Chris, I know you're going to Chippenham, so we'll see you there.
Yeah. We'll see everybody there on Saturday. Vic will be back next Monday with Ray as host. I'm having a night off. So
it's your birthday, Chris.
Okay.
Happy birthday.
So Ray and Vic will be back next Monday. one of the things we didn't say at the beginning was well done to the women and the academy on their wins at the weekend, both friendlies. So they both won both of those, so that's good. Our match day draw subscriptions and our membership are both open, so please have a look on our website, stfc-osc. If you want to become a member and you're not a season ticket holder, you can become a member. And if you want to join the match day draw subscriptions, which gives you a ticket for every game played at home and a number that will stay with you for that season, and you are guaranteed to be in the draw for hospitality on 2 occasions. And this season we've introduced a subscribers only draw, which will take place 4 times within the season for £100 of winnings. So it's just another thank you for giving us your money up front on that. So have a good week, everybody, and you'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye all.